I'm Roy van den Brink-Budgen, and I've been working in critical thinking for the last 26 years. And clearly, a very important question is, well, how should we teach it? And there is some useful evidence which informs our considerations here. There's a huge study published in 2008 by Abrami, where he analysed hundreds of studies into the teaching of critical thinking. And from this meta-analysis, a number of conclusions emerge. One is that the least good way of expecting students to develop critical thinking skills is simply to take it that they will develop. In other words, one teaches physics and history and geography and English and maths and whatever, and that in doing that the skills will develop, the student will become a critical thinker. Abrami's meta-analysis shows that is not likely to happen. And what it also showed is that the two best ways of doing it were for within each subject, chemistry, history, literature, whatever, for there to be some explicit teaching of critical thinking skills taking place, or for there to be a dedicated course in critical thinking, so that would be what the course was. It would be called critical thinking, it would be timetabled as critical thinking, and the students would do that and then would apply it in their own subjects. Either of those methods works much better than just expecting critical thinking to emerge. And the other thing that Abrami's analysis shows is that from teachers' point of view, they perform best in delivering critical thinking if they have had an explicit teaching themselves of it, if they have attended a course where critical thinking is the focus, where the methods of teaching this, some of the content for different subjects. So this is what we know from that huge study. The other thing which we know is from some research by the University of Cambridge, that students who do a course in critical thinking, where it's explicitly taught, that they actually perform better in other subjects, whether this is economics, geography, history, mathematics, English, whatever, that doing critical thinking makes the student perform better in some ways. Certainly in A-level grades, improves their grades. So we should see that critical thinking is important enough that we take its teaching seriously. We don't just think it will happen, that students will pick it up on the way in learning about poetry and learning about history and learning about chemistry or whatever. It's unlikely that they will learn it as well as if we were to teach it to them explicitly. And there's one other aspect that needs to be considered. In so many curriculum documents, we find that critical thinking is seen as an addition to creative thinking. We will see critical and creative thinking seen as something which students should have. Now, for me, much of critical thinking is indeed creative, so that we shouldn't simply see it as a way of teaching some sort of logical analysis, some sort of logical inference. When we say to a student, how do we explain this? What might be the explanation? Then we're into creativity. We're asking students, well, here's one explanation possibly. Give me another one, and another one, and another one. Or it might be we would say, we don't know what the explanation is, so come up with 5, 10, whatever possible explanations. And it's this other possibilities approach which really makes it creative. And certainly as well, if we ask students to produce an argument, we're saying, right, write an argument why dolphins shouldn't be kept in marine parks. Then you're expecting the student to use what we can rather nicely call their imagination. What might fit with this? How can I reach a conclusion that dolphins should or should not be kept in marine parks? So here we have a creative enterprise, certainly with evaluation of arguments, certainly when we're looking for explanations for evidence, certainly when we're looking at production of arguments. So the critical thinking delivers not just careful, logical analysis and evaluation, it also delivers a number of creative outputs as well. In that way, critical thinking earns its keep many times over. If you want to find out more about the services that I can offer in critical thinking, then please go to my website, or if you're in Singapore, contact the Principals Academy. Thank you.